So decided to play in the chess.com USCF rated Blitz tournament tonight with time control of 10-0, 10 minutes with no delay or increment. And it's not a time control I'm very good at, but I decided I need more practice with the time controls between like 10 minutes and half an hour, or 10 minutes and 20 minutes, 15 minutes. So I decided I'd go ahead and join. And let's see who else has joined. So, okay, I'm at number 5 right now. My Blitz rating online, 1544, not very high. But we'll see if we can get that up a little bit today. There's no one extremely high rated, so hopefully we can finish above our place, above our seed. I'm probably going to play mainly my usual openings today and see how it goes, unless I feel inspired to do something else, but I think that's what we'll do. It's 5 rounds with 10-minute no increment, so that's 20 minutes, 5 rounds of 20 minutes, so a little under 2 hours. We'll see how we do, if we stay in the whole thing or not. I don't think I have anything else planned, so I should be able to give it a good go here. And we've got 2 minutes until we start. This is the first tournament that I've joined while using V3, the new chess.com. So hopefully it works well. I've had a couple glitches with it so far in terms of the live chess. Not updating without me refreshing the page. And so that would be kind of frustrated if this tournament started and it didn't have me start with it without me refreshing. But it says 1 minute, so it went from 2 minutes to 1 minute without a problem. So that should mean that we're good to go. Later tonight there's a 5-minute tournament, which is more my speed that I like, but it starts at 10 o'clock p.m., so I don't know if I'll be playing in that or not. We'll see. Alright, here we go. So E4, facing Legacy Creator here. Okay, he's going to play a French. So we want to go ahead and take the center right away. See if he wants to go into a win hour. Okay, so he plays C5 right away, which is a little unusual in the sense that he's not bringing his bishop out right at the beginning. But I'm not sure exactly the best way to take advantage of this. So we can just take on D4, and then we can play against the isolated queen pawn. Or we can go ahead and play knight F3. So we're going to play knight F3. Get a little bit of development. He still hasn't moved any pieces. There he goes. Knight C6. And now let's go ahead and isolate that pawn. And there. Now he can push D4, but it doesn't look like he's going to. And we're going to go ahead and pin this knight, because the knight's an important piece. Yep, okay. But I don't know if this is good, because I think he's just dropping the D pawn here. So we'll go ahead and take it and see what happens. Okay, he takes there. We're going to go ahead and castle. And then if he doesn't do anything, we're going to go ahead and take the e-file with check. He's probably going to castle here. That would be my guess. But even if he does, we're probably going to play bishop g5. So we've got a lot of active pieces right now. And we're up a pawn. So are we up a pawn? Yeah. We've taken 3 of his. It's a little confusing because here it kind of shows like what we've lost instead of what we've taken. So I'm not really sure why it does that. Alright, his queen's a little bit awkward right now. We're hitting the knight twice. There's no hurry for me to take the knight at this point, unless he does something to kind of break the pin. But there's not an easy way for him to break the pin. If he brings the bishop back, we can take it, and then we can play our rook over to e1, is one option. So yeah, this position is pretty tough for him. I'm not really sure exactly how I want to manage my time yet in these games. We've got plenty of time left in this one, but I think I need to make sure that while I use time in the opening to get a good position, that I don't get into time trouble, especially without the increment or a delay or anything like that. I don't want to get in below a minute if I can help it, unless my position is just completely winning. So over here, you can see how much time we've taken for each move, so that's an interesting feature. You saw I took 30 seconds to decide on knight f3, but he took 26 seconds to decide the castle, and now he's taking plenty of time on this move, which I don't blame him. This is kind of a tough position for him right now. Alright, so he took the bishop back like we expected, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the bishop. And then once the queen moves, we're going to go ahead and attack the queen with the rook. And now the queen has to move back into the same pin. And how do we want to best take advantage of this? So we can move our queen in and see if we can do something. So if I move my queen in, then I'll have plenty of threats, and he can't really hit it since it's on a dark square. Maybe I can even get my a rook over to d1, so I kind of like that. It's an interesting move, knight here. No, I can just take that with my rook, because my bishop's not hanging, so I don't have to worry about that. In fact, the rook can't go back to e8 either, because I'll just take it with my rook, right? No, maybe not, because he'd retake with the queen. So knight e8, although it looks awkward, might not be a horrible move here. Oh, I apologize, that sounded like my phone going off, wherever it is. So knight e8 is one option. Okay, he's just going to attack the bishop, and he's going to accept doubled pawns here. So I'm going to take the knight. Yeah, so he has to double right away, because if he took with the queen, he just drops the bishop. So now let's see if I can effectively attack his king side. So let's go ahead and what's the best way to attack his king side? Alright, let's start by bringing our rook to the d file and threatening to take the bishop. So we'll start with that. Now if the bishop moves, we're actually going to move our queen back with check, and we'll win his queen. Right, so that was the mistake, because now I go here with check, and I'm going to pick up his queen. So I debated whether I should play that check first, but yeah, I didn't really like that the king could move there, and I didn't have a good way to attack it again. But now with the material advantage, it shouldn't matter. Alright, he took with the knight, which probably wasn't best to disconnect his rooks, but now I can't just take the knight and simplify down quite as easily. Let's see if I can get this knight active. So we're going to attack the bishop and see what he wants to do with it. Alright, he goes and takes a pawn on the queen side, but I'm not really worried about that, since I don't think it's going to matter. I'm going to go ahead and play this check here with my bishop, which I didn't want to play when his bishop was sitting there because he could push the pawn, and maybe that's fine, but this way he can't even push the pawn. And now, let's go ahead and attack that pawn on h6, and this is looking bad for him. So we're going to kind of walk our queen in here. So now his rook can't ever come to the g file where it's checkmate. He can step the king up to g7, at which point we'll probably go queen g4 check. And when he steps back, then we'll go ahead and play queen f5. And that should be a forced mate soon after. So he's taking his time trying to decide what to do in this position. His knight's kind of inactive. It's too bad his knight didn't have a chance to come up and defend this pawn somehow. Yep, so he went rook over, which is just checkmate. Alright, so that's one game done for us, one victory. Now I've got a few minutes to watch the other games. So, tell him good game. Forgot to say good luck that game. Try and remember next time. And let's see what the other game's going. So, most of the games are a little lopsided because it's round one. That's how it usually works. But let's go ahead and take a look at this game with our top seed. So our top seed has a little bit of a time advantage. Where are we looking at materially? He's up a pawn also. Yeah, and he's got a lot on this d file. But black's pieces are relatively active as long as the queen doesn't end up misplaced over there. So Java Chip looks like he still has some play. Also, black's king is more exposed, but let's see if there's a clear plan for how white takes advantage of that. Alright, so he just goes for the pawn. And that might just be enough. Yep, rook takes rook. And then the queen takes, and the queen's going to threaten to give this check here, with ideas of the bishop coming back if the king moves that way, and if the king moves the other way, just moving the rook over. And so black's got to find a way to stop this check right here on d6, while at the same time saving his rook. So that might not be possible, so that might just be it. I think that threat is going to be too much for black to handle here. He's got 4 minutes to decide what to do. We've probably got about 9 minutes until the next round, since our game ended kind of early, which is one reason why I don't necessarily like commentating at this kind of time control, since there's a lot of downtime in between games. Yeah, so I'm expecting that he's going to move queen and then the bishop back check, although that would allow him to trade off with the knight, so maybe it's not quite that simple. Oh, but he can also play bishop c6 next. Yeah, and that'll be good. And that'll fork the queen and rook. So I'll probably stick to the shorter time controls in general for tournaments. I might do some longer time controls in individual games, since that works since I'm the only one playing. But here, while we're just kind of waiting for other people to finish, doesn't make for the most exciting time. Alright, so this game looks like it's going to be done. So let's see what other games we have going. Alright, we already looked at our game. What other games? Alright, what about this game here? Wow. Alright, so a few moves ago, white spent 2 minutes almost on one move, which is a lot for this time control. He's down a minute in time. He's a bit lower rated. How's our material looking? material's looking good for white. Looks like he's playing a good game. 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns to 5 pawns. So what? He's up a pawn. So in these faster time controls, you've always got to try and figure out how much time is worth material. Like, is being up 2 minutes on the clock worth giving up a pawn? And usually it's not, because if the person knows how to convert the position, then they can often do it with very little time on their clock. But that pressure that it adds can also be helpful. But here, looks like it's going to be a little bit tough for black to hold. White's got the pawn and the initiative. Now, if he was going to do that, he probably should have moved the queen all the way out. Oh, well, then it would get pinned by h3, so maybe that was good. It wouldn't matter if it got pinned. Yeah, the rook's covering there. So black's attack really isn't going to lead to much here. Now, if white can get that bishop in a good position, say like bishop e2 even here, force that knight to retreat. Okay, he doubles up the rooks. Alright, let's see what other games are going on. This is the third game going on. Wow, they're still early on in their game too. Yeah, 3 minutes it took for them each to make one move. So they're taking their time here. Taking their time. Alright, but doesn't look like that exciting of a position. Ooh, an endgame. Oh, this just looks like it's winning for white. Yeah, black's not going to be able to hold this. Ooh, and this is going to be an upset. Yep, so white's just got to get his king on the right square. Ooh, he's making it a little difficult for himself. Not that it's really going to matter here, but... yeah, because black's going to have to go to d7 here, and then the white king steps up anyway. So, unfortunately for black, it didn't really matter, even though white wasn't the most precise in their conversion there. And he goes ahead and resigns. We've only got 3 games left. This is the game we were looking at earlier. And it doesn't look like much has changed. And we just have the other 2 games. Oh, okay, we've only got 2 games now. This is probably going to be the last game to finish, because as we can see, they still have a lot of pieces on the board. So we just are going to wait. Let me go ahead and get a drink here. Alright. Some satisfying water while we wait for these guys to finish up. So let's take a look at this position. The black king doesn't look completely safe. Black has some problems with the development. This bishop looks pretty bad. This knight just looks okay. Their good bishop is kind of cut out of the position right now, just acting like a pawn. White's position looks better. They have control of the e-file. They have 2 good bishops. But the question is, how do they convert these advantages into a win? And that's not clear. You know, there's no tactical shot that's just going to win it at this point. Alright, he's probably moving the queen over, both to target this pawn as a weakness at some point, and also to get the rook in front of the queen. So often you don't want the queen leading, because a lot of tactics are successful because after the first piece is traded, the second major piece, such as the second rook or the queen, once it comes in, that's where you get the winning tactic. So if the queen is leading, then the queen's the one that's going to get traded off most of the time. So if you can lead with a rook instead, the rook gets replaced by the queen, which strengthens your tactics. But since he's no longer doubled up, you can see black takes advantage of that opportunity to challenge the file. Now if white trades here, black has to take with the bishop, and then he can go ahead and put the other rook on the e-file, hitting the queen with tempo. So that's one option. Alright, he moves the king up to g2, which isn't a bad move. Gets the king one step closer to the center if there's going to be an endgame. You can see now we're having some time pressure. Black is under a minute. White's got a minute 30. Alright, I think that was a good move by black to try and get some activity on the queen side. I think that was a good idea. Yeah, that should just drop a pawn. Yeah, he can just take, and then when the pawn retakes, he can take with the bishop with check or with the rook. Okay, he's going to take with the bishop, which also threatens to go ahead and just win the d4 pawn outright. Oh, even better. The bishop pair working with the queen. Yep, now black's in trouble. So you got queen h6 check, which might be good. You've got queen d8 check. Oh wait, that's a really good move. He should just go queen d8 check, I think. Yep. And then when the queen blocks the check, play bishop g7 check. So when the queen goes here, yep, now bishop g7 check should end the game, because then the rook's going to go ahead and take the free queen. So see if he finds this. He can also play the bishop to d6 as check, but that's not quite as strong. Yep, he found it. Bishop g7. And black should probably just resign here after he takes with the rook or the queen. Yep. Yeah, and even that doesn't really help, because white could choose to take the rook or just go for checkmate. And there we go. That should be the last game. And let's see who we get paired against. Alright. So, okay, I think we're getting paired against the top seed here. So we'll say good luck. Yeah, I think this guy's the top seed. So, king pawn. Let's play a French, because that's what we normally play. And see how he wants to respond. Go ahead and play d5. Challenge in the center. And now we're going to go ahead and pin the bishop. Pin the knight. So this is the sharpest move from black in this position, and it's what our opponent last game should have played. Playing c5 right away makes life a little bit harder for black. Alright, you see he's exchanging, so white's kind of giving black equality right off the bat here. Notice that when he exchanged, it didn't come with the isolated pawn, since I have not pushed c5 yet. Now I can still play c5, and it's still a strong move, but I don't think I even need to right now. I am going to go ahead and play knight f6. The knight can also go to e7. Can I not draw arrows during my game here? I guess not. Alright, he develops his bishop. We go ahead and castle. And then if he castles, we have to decide what to do with our bishop, whether or not we want to just take that knight. We're probably going to just bring the bishop back. We might even bring it back to d6. So we'll play our bishop out, and then we're probably going to follow this up by playing c6. c6, knight d7. Pull the bishop back to d6, and queen c7 is going to be the basic setup we're aiming for, I think. Yeah, so now he's attacking the knight, so we're going to go ahead and make sure that he can't just take on d5. So if I guard my knight that's pinned, then the knight can just take on d5, so we don't want that. So we'll just go ahead and play c6. Solid move. And see what he wants to do. He might go ahead and play rook e8 at some point here. Nope. Oh, he brings his knight in right away. We're going to go ahead and trade. definitely want to trade there. And he might take with his knight. He might take with his knight. Yep. And we're just going to go ahead and attack his knight. So his knight on e5 really isn't doing much. And the d4 pawn isn't extremely strong for him. So we're going to go ahead and play our knight to d7. Ooh, that doesn't quite work. Alright, let's kick his bishop first. So attack the bishop. Get to move back. And if the bishop goes back to h4, it gets trapped here because his knight is on the normal square for the bishop. So he goes ahead and takes. And now I take with my queen. And I think our position's pretty good here. Notice that this knight doesn't have any forks because my knight's still covering that. And so we're slightly behind in development, but it's not the end of the world. Go ahead and move this rook to the e file. So he solidified his knight on e5. But unless that knight can find some real targets, I'm not too worried about it. We might even go with the plan of developing our knight to a6 and bring it back to c7. What is he planning with his queen? I'm not sure. Oh, he's planning knight h5 is what he wants to do. Knight h5 is what he's looking to do. So I'm going to go ahead and take this knight. And I know that gives him a strong pawn there, but then I'm going to play my queen here and offer to trade queens. That's going to help keep his knight out if he does that, and it'll allow me to develop my knight more easily, I think. So see what he decides to do here. Okay, so if I trade queens, he wants to be able to retake with something. He's attacking f7. I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to move rook e6. Rook e6, kind of blockade that pawn. And also, if he takes now my queen, now I won't even have to double up the pawns if I don't want to. Yeah, I probably won't double up the pawns at that point. Right, okay, let's go ahead and let's develop the knight over to a6 and then bring it back to c7. And at some point we're probably going to stick our knight on e6. So I'm not sure exactly what his plan is on the queen side there. I think he's just making moves. And we can even swing this rook all the way over to f8 if we so desire. Yep. Alright, but if he takes, I'm just going to replace it with my knight. So I'm fine with that. Bring this rook over to f8. And if he takes, we'll take with the knight. So I think we're okay here. Solid position. Okay, he backs the queen off. So I think we can consider that a moral victory. Now, what can we do here to cause some problems? Alright then, we're going to back our rook up with the idea of getting our knight into e5 here. Yep, he's putting his knight on f5. He might be jumping into d6. Let's go ahead and hit his queen first. Force her to make a decision. And then we will do something here. Alright, let's aim to get my knight into e4. He might still play his knight to d6, in which case I think we're just going to play our rook to e7. Alright, we've got almost a minute time advantage. But with this position already kind of in an endgame type situation, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. So I'm not sure I had to take right away there. Maybe I should have played the knight into e4 first. That might have been better. Alright. Oh, wait. We just win the queen here, don't we? Yeah, we just play knight h3 check, and we should be in good shape. Yeah, okay. I wasn't even looking for that tactic before. But, yeah, check here, and then we'll just go save the rook. Alright, so we've got a queen for the knight, so we should be fine. And we've got 6 minutes to convert this position. Right, he's doubling up, but I don't think we have anything to worry about, since his back rank is actually weak. So we're going to push this pawn just so my rook is freed from there. Don't know where that knight's going. But let's move my rook to the open c file. Oh, he's going to just win my queen right back. Interesting. Alright, so neither one of us were really paying attention to our queens. And now we get an equal rook endgame. So not a hugely impressive game by either of us in terms of watching our queen-king forks, considering we both fell for one. It's even worse that I fell for it after using it on him, a similar fork. I feel like at least mine was a little bit sneaky. We'll go ahead and push here. And then if he pushes his pawn again, we'll just move our rook to e8 and then bring our king here, bring the other rook back to c7, and he won't be able to hold that pawn. Okay, so that was a good move by him in the sense that it makes it harder for my king to get to f7. But his e-pawn really isn't that dangerous. In fact, next move I can even move my rook behind it. So we should be able to win that, and then we should have the advantage in the endgame. So even after winning his queen and blundering away his queen, I think we've got a slightly better position here. He's got to decide a plan. Yeah, so let's go ahead and win this pawn. So the reason we moved this rook instead of our f rook is because if we moved our f rook, he would get behind the pawn. So by moving this rook, it prevents him from being able to really stop our rook from taking his pawn. Yeah, I think I'm safe to just use my f rook to guard the d pawn now. It's really the only target of mine he has, and it's hard for him to get both rooks on it. Yeah, it's surprisingly hard. My h and f pawns kind of prevent his other rook from teaming up. So what's weird about rooks is that horizontal checks rather than vertical checks are usually more useful, but at the same time, when you're attacking pieces or pawns, oftentimes the vertical attack is stronger than the horizontal one. Alright, so his rook goes to guard that pawn, and we're just going to go ahead and take this e-pawn, and now we're up a clean pawn in this endgame. So let's see how we can kind of pressure him now. Alright, we'll go ahead and go here with our rook. So what's nice about this square is that my rook can't be kicked from that square, and it kind of keeps one of his rooks always tied down to that d-pawn. We're going to move rook d7, just so he can't get in on the 7th rank. Ooh, and I don't know about that move. I don't know about that. That really is making his king look vulnerable. So he actually cannot target my d-pawn right now, even if I'm not guarding it. So I'm going to go ahead and put both rooks on the e-file, and let's see if we can get some kind of checkmate going. Alright, he moves to double up there, and I'm just going to go ahead here and try and see if we can trap his king or something. Yeah, this is looking very nice. Very nice indeed. Alright, let's go ahead and hit this pawn. So we're attacking the pawn and threatening this check. And we're going to bring the other rook into e2. So what's nice about that is when the rook comes to e2, we're both threatening to... Yeah, okay, so here we're going to go ahead and give this check. And then... do we just take the pawn? Yeah, we're going to take the pawn, and then we're going to move the rook back to a1. So none of my pawns are really in danger, and his rooks can't do much. Yep, okay. So then... we'll go here. See if we can get behind his king if we need to. We might also look for just a simple way to trade off rooks. Alright, take there. Check him here. And then take this pawn. So if we didn't check him, he was going to try and push this pawn with check, guarded by the rook, and when my king stepped back, he was going to try and checkmate me. Alright, now we're going to force these rooks off. And that actually helps guard this pawn, since when he trades and I check, it'll also guard the pawn, and if he just takes the pawn, then I get the rook for free. So he might play his c-rook over to the g-file. Yep, that's exactly what he does. So we're going to go ahead and take there, and then attack the d-pawn. Go ahead and take there. And he might try and set up some kind of checkmate here, but it's really not going to lead anywhere, because it's really hard for his rook to keep my king pinned in and for him to threaten to get onto an open file. So we're just going to move all the way back here. And we've got 3 minutes to decide the best plan. So let's go ahead and push our a pawn and create another passed pawn. So if we get rid of his last pawn, then we should have great winning chances. So his king can't really catch up, so we'll play there. We'll take it. And then we'll just go ahead and push this d pawn. So he shouldn't be able to catch all my pawns. Yeah, and now we're going to move the rook with check because the king can't hide, and then we'll queen. So the king can't hide, which means that anywhere my rook moves will be with check. And he can't go somewhere without check. Okay, so he can guard that like this. But then I can just move my rook for free. So let's just say I move my rook here, and then he can't stop me from going queening on d1 anyway. Okay, so I don't know if he's going to force me to show that I know the rook checkmate. Alright, good game. And a victory over who I believe was the top seed. Did it not say good game for me? Oh, it just started already. Okay. Alright, let's get ready for another one. Going right into it against another top seed. Another guy in the 1700s. And let's play another French. So the last French worked. Let's do it again. So we're 2-0 here. And it's really funny because if you've been watching my other videos, I've been talking a lot about this line against the French. So, alright, I meant to play d5 there, but apparently we're playing something different today. Mouse slip already. Alright, so this is not a setup I usually play, so we're just going to have to see how it goes. Yep, giving him lots of space. Oh, I think that's just a free pawn, too. Alright, this game's not going according to plan. Well, at least we'll be able to castle. Alright, so we gave up a pawn, and we don't really have anything we want. Both our bishops are on the back row. Didn't he just give me a knight? No, because he would take my bishop. Interesting. So, if I take his knight, he takes my bishop. So it's just a trade. So what other kind of tactics can I get going here? Trying to see if there's a way for me to get my pieces out of this kind of awkward situation. And my bishop can't really go anywhere either. We're going to play c6 and see what he decides to do. So kind of preventing this knight from coming in and giving this bishop a different direction to go in. Maybe I can hit that knight with tempo and then I can take his knight or something. That's our new plan. Yeah, so in this line against the French where you play b3 and you queenside castle early, it leads to exciting games and takes people out of book really early. I would have showed you more about it, but I ended up playing d6 instead of d5, so I just ended up in an inferior passive position, and so now we've got to untangle. He's up the clean pawn, but my rook is targeting a lot of things. His knight's still hanging, and the pawn behind it isn't really guarded. So we have potential for some tactics. Especially if I can get a couple of my pieces off the back row with tempo, then we'll be okay. But until this back row is cleared and my rooks are connected, he's going to have a lot of threats. Oh, we didn't say good luck this game. Did that not type? Good luck. Enter. There we go. So I guess last round we were the last game. And he's taken a long time on this move. Of course, I took a minute on the last move. So this is kind of interesting, this chart, especially looking after the game. If you're analyzing, especially your slow games online, you can really use that to your benefit. Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's a good move. It's a good move. So how do I do something about it? He's targeting this weak f7 square with 2 pieces. I think we might... I think we might be in trouble here. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to block that off and then, oops, and then take with the pawn. Otherwise, I think I'm just in too much trouble with the light squared and dark squared bishops aiming at me. But now I lost my e-file tactics, so we're gonna have to create something else. Alright, let's get this bishop out of here. And then our knight's gonna have to go to a6, so this is just really awkward. Alright, knight a6, but at least we're untangling and still just down the pawn. Now I don't want to trade too much because in addition to being down the pawn, I've got this weak e-pawn. So I need to create something. I don't think I can just trade down into an endgame down a pawn. That'll just be losing. I'll probably end up going down a second pawn. Excuse me. I'll probably end up going down a second pawn if I do that. So we'll see if I can get my other rook active, but with only one open file that he has right now, if I want the open file, I have to trade rooks to get it. His knight on e5 is really strong since I can't dislodge it. Alright, so that knight goes backwards. So is there anything that knight was hitting that now I can get to? No. His knight's interested in coming in here. Alright, we're going to play our bishop back to here. Maybe get it into e3. And we might just go for a queenside attack, because I don't think we're going to be able to win anything that goes into an endgame, so we'll just see if we can attack his king. Have some fun. We might just throw the c-pawn down the board, put the other rook, the a-rook on c8. We've got ideas of playing knight b4, and it's a little tough without the queen, but see if we can at least threaten something. Okay, so this knight comes to that square. We'll retreat the bishop a little more. We still have an idea of this check at some point. Okay, so he definitely wants to trade off. He's determined to trade off. Well, I don't think we have a choice now. Although we don't have to take, because I can retake with the knight, and then I'm okay. Takes him an extra move if he does it that way. If I take, he just gets to replace it with the knight. But now he has to play the knight there if he wants that. I didn't see that move. Alright. He's just going to get b7, and we're probably just going to resign this game soon. Yeah, now we've got to trade rooks and play here. Attacking his knight, see if he just misses that. He's probably deciding how good this check is here. Okay, his knight comes down, and much. Alright, let's move the A pawn. Not sure what his knight's going to do there. I guess he's just going to take on c6. Yeah, we're probably going to just go ahead and resign this one. So the mouse slip in the beginning, and then the position kind of fell apart after that. Not using the mouse slip as an excuse, but it certainly didn't help us. So yeah, we'll go ahead and resign. And we're going to go ahead and withdraw from the tournament, I think, because... Yep. 3 games was good. It was pretty long, so... almost an hour of playing, and maybe we'll see if we want to play later. But I don't want to play two more games and spend another hour. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Maybe you even learned something. Alright, have a good night.